At the time of his demise, on March 7, 2020, he had just been replaced as mayor of Fumban, a position he has held since 1996 to 2007 before moving into the National Assembly. The seasoned political figure, who died at the age of 77, leaves behind family, friends, and the entire population of Fumban to mourn him.
Yesterday I was down for so some people didn't come. So Amber come from my house. They be like 15, so they come, they find me, they don't see me, they find them my brother and they don't see them. They start to brew my house. They brew my house, take kako. Brew my house, take kako. Okay. I did sit down for some place, so I did hide for some place. I did see them. They carry them like 3 times. They go back for them place. That place they didn't make.
Military can get mission from GAR. They won't get mission from GAR. Some people join military. They work at their own route different. Military, they work at their own route different. Before the military, place where military go in, that people turn their own for back, pass, make their own action where military no. So they want come meet up place where military been there, they burn house for there. They want burn house before military come out say no be thing where we been come for do.
These are the witness accounts after the unfortunate incident at Gabu on February 14, 2020. 3 days after, the government formally denied claims from witnesses and the media distancing troops from the massacre. The military spokesperson said 5 civilians died in Gabu, and Defense Minister Joseph Betiasomo described the killings as collateral damage and said it was an accident following an explosion during gun battles between the forces of law and order and separatists. Communication Minister Rene Manuel Sadi confirmed the story of the army spokesperson, and Rene Manuel Sadi equally insisted that all witness accounts against the military was undergrounded stigmatization and slander. Information about the massacre existed and was shared in several versions with uncertainty.
I want to say that we came to continue to assure the population, this peaceful population of Tumbo, that the incidents which happened at Garbu was orchestrated by armed gangs who decided to take this enclaved border zone with Bui Division into their hideouts. And they had decided to make it a hub of terrorist activities. And the peaceful populations have paid the price.
Amidst the contradictory reports and accounts, the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, ordered a commission of inquiry to investigate the Ngabu incident. History has been revisited, and after over 1 month of investigation, the findings and end reports contradict every statement initially presented by some top officials. Recent findings reveals full involvement of government troops, and the official death toll as per the report from the investigation stands at 18, contrary to figures initially presented. At the wake of recent findings, the death of an eyewitness who testified after the massacre has resurfaced. Malam Danjuma's lifeless body was found in Kikakilaiki village, Bui Division, days after his testimony. The question on the lips of some Cameroonians is, who is responsible? First things first, the government has promised sanctions to all those involved in the 14th February killing, while the victims will be exhumed and buried properly. May the souls of the departed rest in peace.
Thousands of Cameroonians today stormed the headquarters of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party at Grand Moulin in Douala to listen to the national president, Professor Maurice Kamto. Professor Maurice Kamto, during his keynote address this Wednesday, called on all Cameroonians, home and abroad, to set a day of national mourning for those who were brutally killed and burnt in Garbu in Donga Mountain Division. He equally regretted the fact that the Yaoundé regime has not yet set a day of national mourning for the victims. On the Anglophone crisis, Kamto called on President Biya to release Ayub Tabe and Co., as well as all those detained in connection to the Anglophone crisis. Kamto equally told party supporters to prepare for future victories. The opposition leader, who claims to have won the October 2018 presidential elections in Cameroon, arrived last night after spending over a fortnight in Europe and America, where he met with Cameroonians, party supporters, international diplomats, and White House officials.
The news announcing the death of the one-time presidential candidate and activist of the National Citizen Movement was received with disbelief by the faithfuls of his church, friends and family. They converged in large numbers at his residence in Bonaberi in the Douala 5 municipality, praying and raising their voices to heaven so that the Lord will bring the prophet back to life, to no avail. Many, including the mother of the deceased, strongly believed in his resurrection, but unfortunately were taken off guard when security officers had to force their way into the house of Prophet Frank to retrieve the body, which, according to a medical doctor who did a check, the man of God had died of COVID-19. This is contrary to what his family says, that Prophet Frank was poisoned. The rush to bury Prophet Frank was intended to prevent massive contamination, a decision which infuriated the Christians of the Kingship Ministry Church Bonaberi and Prophet Franklin's family, as they interfered to stop the security men from taking his mortal remains away, saying the former religious leader and presidential candidate deserves a befitting funeral. According to Pastor Nanji Emmanuel, the death of Prophet Frank is a big loss in the church, but again to the man of God.
The death of Prophet Frank is really a loss in the church, and the Bible says that for a child of God to live is Christ. In another word, is for the benefit of the body of Christ, and for him to die is gain. So it is gain to the man of God who has passed on to.
Concerning the controversy surrounding his death and attempted resurrection, Reverend Nanji,
talking about the controversies that surrounds his death, I want to say that if his children or the members of his church, they gathered together to pray that God should bring him back to life, and he did not come back to life, doesn't mean God didn't answer their prayer. It only means that God was simply telling them that he was okay with the fact that he was leaving this world into the world which he had prepared for him and for every saint who had served God.
However, the caliber of the man of God, Prophet Franklin Afanui Ndifon, cannot be underestimated. As Pastor Nanji says, the prophet deserved a worthy burial, although he reportedly died of COVID-19.
Prophet Frank was a great man. He served God, seriously with all devotion in this nation of Cameroon. And talking about also coronavirus, that they said he died because of coronavirus, and they were fighting over his corpse. I want to put myself in the shoes of the family of Prophet, the members of his family. It is not easy, to lose a loved one. Not to even talk of after losing the loved one, they will not allow you to mourn your loved one, but just carry the corpse, directly to go and bury without the consent of the family. But what I want to say is, I just want to encourage them. Since the government is involved, it was done for their good and for the good of everybody.
Prophet Franklin Afanui Ndifo was laid to rest at the Kotoba Cemetery at Bonaberi, Douala last Saturday night.
Bien que morte, son œuvre continue. Maman Ngea décède ce dimanche 14 juin 2020 après une longue période de maladie. Avec ses nombreux tubes à succès, l'artiste a fait la fierté de ses fans. Car, il faut le dire, elle n'a pas manqué de toucher tous les domaines de la vie. Amour, solidarité, éducation, sport.
Il n'a pas passé tout son temps à rigoler. Il apprenait sérieusement bien son football. Il n'a pas passé tout son temps à rigoler. Il apprenait sérieusement bien son football.
Cette triste nouvelle laisse beaucoup de Camerounais en larmes.
C'était une femme, très bonne femme, grande chanteuse camerounaise, qui a beaucoup fait dans la musique camerounaise. Et c'était une femme dynamique.
Ce maman a trop souffert. À la fin, Dieu a dit, maman, venez vous reposer. Mais l'artiste ne meurt pas. De ce moment, Ngea va continuer à danser.
Elle chante très bien. Elle nous a fait danser et chanter. Oui, elle nous a fait danser et chanter.
Le monde de la musique camerounaise est particulièrement touché cette année par la disparition de plusieurs de ses membres.
L'artiste Jamais Somba, je viens pour rendre hommage à Ngea, la route. Nous observons vraiment un mois de tristesse. On a vu le grand Manu partir, on a vu Claude Ndam partir et beaucoup d'autres. Et là, nous avons une autre icône qui s'en va. Ngea, la route, personnage typique, travailleuse. J'allais dire autodidacte, a marqué son temps. La preuve, nous en parlons. Les réseaux sociaux en parlent. Ça signifie qu'elle a su marquer son temps.
Un hommage particulier à tous ces représentants de l'art camerounais. Le peuple vous gardera à jamais. Maman Ngea repose en paix.
Qui saura vivre l'amour, qui saura me consoler, qui saura vivre à mes côtés.
As soon as see me so, I don't need for no way to wake ring for. I hit one time, say nana time for halaya mata.
This is journalist Samuel Abue, popularly known as Wazizi, on one of his editions Halaya Mata on CMTV, a private television outlet in the southwest region of Cameroon, being mourned today by journalists across the globe.
Call me the newsman, call me Doki Doki, call me the journalist. Oh, I am exemplary.
Wazizi was arrested on August 2nd, 2019 in Boya over suspicion of complicity with the known state armed group, has given his farm to the said group, and equally for filming the military to send to international media. The confirmation of Wazizi's demise on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020 in the military hospital in Yaoundé has sparked reactions from human rights activists in the likes of Abor Bala and Michel Ndoki, political parties like the CPP and PAP, and equally journalism associations calling on government to give explanations publicly as to Wazizi's whereabouts. The Popular Action Party condemned what it termed dictatorship, barbarism, and outright arrogance towards journalists and demands his mortal remains be presented to the national and international community. Worth noting is that Wazizi died under custody and was held incommunicado for over 300 days till the date of death. Samuel Wazizi leaves behind no wife, no child, but media colleagues and friends to mourn him.
In this casket lies the mortal remains of 93 years Molanjo Litumbe, who died on the 26th of May in Douala after a brief illness. Family members and friends have gathered to pay their last respect to the deceased. From the Boya mortuary, this funeral service holding at Presbyterian Church Bukwango was officiated by these pastors who called on the family to renew their strength in God in times like these. To many, late Molanjo was a veritable icon worth emulating, as he helped in the restoration of the Bakwe land from the grip of CDC, as well as his love for the Bakwe culture, which he carried everywhere.
Even in the saddest of moments, Papa will create a joke. Imagine, say, Papa be land for Cameroon that day where Kenya Airways be crash. And he was so devastated when he got the news at the airport. he came home all broken. And I'm like, Daddy, you be no smart for that plane? He said, no, Mrs. Mafani. You just imagine, say, you the fly business for plane, and then you sip your champagne. And then all of a sudden, you just find yourself in front of the gates of heaven. And then God, they ask you, say, what you don't do? What you do here? Then you answer, say, I don't die. I mean, so, you know, Papa be like merry making. So make no man know she don't today the sad or the cry or the this. Papa they up there, they look always, they smile. You understand? And I go tell one thing, side way Papa day, now we go.
At the level of his political inclination, late Molanjo Litumbe is known by his popular slogan, Jumba no be married, describing the political state of southern Cameroon, which has today metamorphosed into what is now known as the Anglophone crisis. With the Anglophone crisis still ongoing, some civil society activists regret the big vacuum that has been created through his demise.
They were very instrumental to the development of our community, and whether you like it or not, they contributed enormously towards the building of this country. Reason why the President of the Republic recognized him as a member of the Court of Impeachment. Whether his thoughts changed at the later part of his life, I want to pronounce that Molanjo was very, very entitled to his beliefs, and he had the right as a human and at his age to think the way he thought.
Had to be somebody who was dedicated to the Anglophone struggle. I remember Mola to be a very professional father to all of us, somebody who mentored us and who was always willing to listen and to advise us. I remember the humility in Mola, especially when Mola called me, invited me personally for his 90th anniversary. And I remember at times when I have a discussion group in my house and I would invite Mola and Mola would attend. So these are things that a big man like that, you know, a respectable and iconic figure will come to my house, you know, for a group discussion. It really showed the kind of person who Mola was. But I hope that now that Mola has gone with God, he can intercede with God so that the faction, the fighting, the infighting in the Anglophone struggle, that unity can be, we can have some unity, you know, because I think the bane of our struggle now is the fact that there's a lot of infighting. And, you know, he's gone as a Soban. I remember him also as a senior Soban. We're at Sase during the 75th anniversary, and may his soul rest in perfect peace.
Late Molanjo Litumbe was the first UK-trained chartered accountant in Cameroon. Upon his retirement as accountant, he later joined politics in Cameroon, where he created the Liberal Democratic Alliance in 1992. Late Molanjo leaves behind a wife, 4 children, several grandchildren, family members, friends, and well-wishers to mourn him. It should be noted that the remains of Molanjo Litumbe was laid to rest at his family residence in Bukwango Boya. Although it is a bitter pill for many to swallow, the Mokwe man will say, when dem bamu Molanjo.
Mammoth crowd of denizens of Buda, Bambutu's division of the West region of Cameroon, recently turned out at the Buda Gendarmerie Brigade to celebrate the arrest of 4 alleged armed bandits who have been terrorizing their community. According to this victim, who is in his late 50s, the alleged bandits attacked him recently at 5 a.m. at Kappa Junction while he was on his way to board a taxi that would take him to Bamenda. He explains further that the 4 boys seized his phone, tore his dress, and a sum of 100,000 francs collected from him. This other victim explains that 2 months ago, his provision store was robbed and many valuables taken away by the same boys. Informed of the situation, the commander of the Buda Gendarmerie Brigade, Lashley Sebastian, and his elements launched an operation leading to the arrest of the 4 alleged armed bandits. The 4 alleged thieves were bundled in a pickup alongside some stolen items such as mattresses, buckets, cooking gas cylinder, cartons of apples, and taken to the Gendarmerie Brigade premises. The alleged thieves at the time of the arrest were equally in possession of some dangerous weapons like axes, knives, machetes, and a bag of Indian hemp. During the presentation of the 4 alleged thieves, Lashley Sebastien, commander of the Buda Gendarmerie Brigade, used the occasion to call on the population to collaborate with the 4
from their grandmother, who reportedly prepared Irish potatoes for the kids.
I move and bring them for parlor, all we will chop. I love my kitchen. They don't break. You see, we come for bed, that's the one way first die. So, he said, Grandma, I want chop Irish. I move 7 Irish. I can't put them for this time for you. That one way first die, so it take 1. He get Grandma, they are on. I take 1 and for my mom. I just be like 5 minutes. I leave them where the see chop. They play. I won't go for all the same sense of money. I won't come back now. I just see like a big sister. He take the rapide, the one I make around the same money. Pay the mix so. I say the mix so when I wait to be doing. I take the booking for downstairs. I won't run enter inside house. I see where it don't die. From start from what for him. With the car, I send somebody to go market for him, mommy won't come again. With the car, won't see some neighbor for a place where they used to play for corner for compound. We see again the car, big brother again bring them. Say come to the commodity, this is so shake so from the commodity. We don't carry I'm running reach for general hospital. The tell we say it don't die.
The third victim, Achambo Blessing, 7 years, was at the emergency unit of the Kumba District Hospital, while men of God were still trusting God for the 2 dead bodies to resurrect. The family later on accepted that the children were dead after serious prayers by men of God.
I don't come do it.
Tuesday, 25th August 2020, Kumba main market women traders on a protest march following the sealing of their shops by municipal authorities as a means to stop the Monday ghost towns in the city of Kumba. The women made their first stop at the Kumba City Council, but the city mayor Gokele Victor ordered that the gates should be closed. Resultantly, the women marched to the Kumbanfon's palace to inform the chief Benfon Mukete the Fourth Ekoko was not present at the palace. The Fon Emerito Senator V.E. Mukete sorted out the problem by inviting the city mayor, the Kumba One mayor, and the Kumba Traditional Council, who for close to 4 hours had a deep meeting on how to bring a solution to the worries of the women. At 3 p.m., the city mayor and the Kumba Traditional Council finally addressed the population and promised to follow them to the market to unseal the shops.
They go work out with we. Go unseal the stores.
At the market, the Traditional Council performed some libation, after which the shops were unsealed. On why the traders protested, they stated that they are not secure to carry on their business activities on Mondays.
With the ones the back, say Monday where you did talk and so that very first day when I come for market, yes, I be talk how will they harass me from Bongero dear. Papa, I beg, now that one where with the Crise, no one that think about, we not deny, when I go open we market now, but that Monday, Papa, we go come out, we go come out, now even with the Crise, no nothing.
As it stands, the fight against ghost towns in Kumba is gradually becoming unrealistic.
Tributes from football personalities, teammates and relatives dominated the funeral of former emblematic Indomitable Lions captain Stephen Etatato, who led the Cameroonian national team to the quarterfinals of the 1990 World Cup in Italy. That was the first time for an African country to reach that level of the competition. Cameroonian legend Samuel Eto'o and special advisor to the president of the Confederation of African Football was at the funeral venue in Yaoundé, where the fallen star was buried on Saturday afternoon in Volue. He presented a tribute from CAF President Ahmad Ahmad, as well as his own as former captain of the Indomitable Lions. The CAF boss's message of condolence was read before thousands of mourners at the Yaoundé Sports Complex on Friday evening. he was a symbol of African football, to borrow from Ahmad, adding that Tato captained a squad that brought glory to football in Africa. Ahmad's speech also drew attention to the fact that only 3 captains from Africa have ever played in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Tato's death left his 1990 World Cup teammate in deep sorrow. Vincent Ongandi, spokesperson of the 1990 World Cup squad, in his tribute said Kapi, as they fondly called Tato, will be greatly missed. Sorrow gripped mourners even more when Ongandi said that Tato left them shortly after 2 other members of the squad, Benjamin Massing and Louis Pomfede, died a few years ago. The teammates regretted that Tato, like the other 2 departed former players, missed the official handing over by the government last week in Yaoundé of keys to their apartment promised to them 30 years ago after their 1990 World Cup exploit. The iconic Roger Milla, who was outstanding at the global bonanza with spectacular goals and corner post dunks, did not publicly speak, but is quoted by Nation Sport saying Tato was a model of patriotism. Tato was buried after a mass led by a priest. The priest told the crowd that Tato's peers asked him to celebrate the mass due to the admiration he had for the fallen player while he was in the seminary. He said that he was even nicknamed Tato by his peers. Cameroon's Minister of Sports, Professor Narcisse Moelle-Komi, who represented President Paul Biya, described Tato as patriotic, loyal, and a hardworking footballer before he posthumously decorated him with a medal of the Commander of the Cameroon Order of Valor. To Cameroonians, Stephen Etat Tato remains a captain for life. To every beginning, there is a logical end.
This is the general atmosphere which characterized some parts of Yaoundé, Douala and the west region of the country yesterday, following an announced nationwide protest called by Professor Maurice Kamto to oust President Paul Biya from power. Most Cameroonians in all the 10 regions of the country apparently shunned the call by Professor Maurice Kamto and went about their daily activities unperturbed. Notwithstanding, some business premises in some neighborhoods in Douala, especially at the Central Market, remained shut down for fear of the unknown. At the Ndokoti roundabout and flyover, clashes broke out between the protesters and security officers. Tear gas and water cannons were used to disperse the crowd. Some arrests were equally made in the different parts where demonstrations took place. In Yaoundé, the seat of state institutions, it was a calm and serene atmosphere. The population in the capital city went about its activities unperturbed. Pundits say pockets of persons spotted in Dokoti, Douala, Bafang and Chang in the west region, and a hideout in Yaoundé further exposed MRC as a party void of grassroots support. Unconfirmed sources say over 200 persons were arrested yesterday, including 4 journalists, some of whom are still in detention. Journalist associations and civil society have condemned the arrest of these journalists, who, according to them, were just out doing their job of bringing information closer to the population.
Here is the e-waste 3D printer with a capacity to print kitchen utensils such as cups, as well as parts of a camera, among others. It was manually fabricated from waste products by Nevis Sometia, a student from the Faculty of Engineering and Technology in the University of Boya. He is the winner of the Presidential Award of the Best Innovative ICT Project for the year 2020, organized by the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, P&T.
I use electronic waste like all photocopiers, all printers to make something out of that. So I got parts from that, coupled with a plywood that I formed the printer with, and I was able to make a printer. This printer is not like any other printer that you have in offices in school. This printer, instead of writing or printing on a sheet of paper, This one now prints 3D models on a sheet of paper. For example, you can print a cup using the 3D printer. You can print any, like the body of your camera.
Gathered at the Ndoroti Njoma Amphitheater, the university community and the Faculty of Engineering and Technology, FET, family members have converged to honor this ICT national hero. While expressing satisfaction, the Dean of FET discloses the academic impact the faculty has had on its students.
Most of the core courses have corresponding practical courses that are laboratory based. So students spend over 40% of their time in the laboratories. That is why our graduates are very proficient.
Presided at by Professor Ngomo Horace Manga, Vice Chancellor of this prestigious university, he hailed the FET for projecting the good quality education given to students by the institution, adding that students should always be confident in their skills by unleashing their creativity whenever the opportunity presents itself.
Found to be very good, and there's no eloquent testimony to that the award of this prize to our students. We take pride in that. We are creating the atmosphere to produce more laureates. And I want to seize this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Tesla once more for that effort.
As a national hero, Nevin Zometia also backs home a sum of 15 million francs CFA. Created in 2010 and with a mission to empower students with practical proficiency, Nevin's success comes to add to the over 32 awards won by the Faculty of Engineering and Technology of the University of Boya.
According to the Christian Holy Bible, in the book of Genesis chapter 2, the verses 24, which says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." It is on this note that the head of broadcast at BT Media Group, Michael Ojong, has officially tied the knot with Ojong Emeran Bakume. This was during a wedding ceremony which took place Saturday, September 19, 2020 at the Ngwele Council Hall in the Douala 4 municipality. During the heavily attended wedding, Mr. and Mrs. Ojong took the ultimate oath, that of living together as husband and wife in joy and in pains till death. The smiles on the faces of family members, friends, as well as colleagues was an indication of a dream come true for the couple and a day to be alive. For Mr. and Mrs. Ojong, it is a feeling of fulfillment as the two have embarked on a journey of no return. Traditional animation from the couple's native Upper Bayang in Manu division of the southwest region of Cameroon spiced the lifetime occasion. The jovial atmosphere at the wedding ceremony only confirms what King Solomon wrote in Proverbs chapter 18, the verses 22, which says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord."
This is Minette Fotsing, 17-year-old, allegedly drugged and raped by some unidentified lads, which has led to her demise. The BBC graduate had left the West region on Sunday, 27 September to live with her elder brother at the Lokpom neighborhood in Douala 5 subdivision to pursue her studies this academic year. But on Tuesday, 29 September, after being found lying helplessly in an uncompleted building, Minette is rushed to the hospital by her elder brother and will pass away the next day. Her family members and doctors in charge believe that she was a victim of a collective rape. In tears, her elder sister recounts the story.
J'étais à la maison à 21h, c'est ma grande soeur qui m'appelle. Elle me dit, marchez vite, Minette est aux urgences. Je sors de la maison, j'arrive à l'hôpital, l'enfant est en train de taper le corps. Et il y a le liquide là qui coule de ses fesses et tout.
Another family member equally gives an account.
Là, maintenant, on pense que bon, on voit le liquide sortir. On pense que bon, elle a fait même l'avortement. On arrive à l'hôpital, on fait le test de la grossesse. On trouve que ce n'était pas l'avortement. Qu'on avait carrément sonorisé partout. Sur les deux côtés, ce n'était pas une personne. Donc c'était quelque chose qui n'était même pas bien à voir.
Dr. Gilles Frank Chamou, the medical doctor in charge, reveals his diagnostic.
Je découvre qu'au niveau de la filière génitale, il y avait présence de sécrétions d'aspect visqueux, lactescent. Donc la nature des sécrétions était question d'analyser au laboratoire avant de pouvoir déterminer quelle nature est réelle. Secondairement, je retrouve également la présence de sécrétions au niveau de la région périanale.
The family members are still in total shock as investigations have been opened to clarify the circumstances that have led to Minette's death.
Inhabitants of Mile 2 Limbe woke up on the dusk of Tuesday, October 6th, to discover a tragic incident in their neighborhood which led to the death of one person. In the early hours of Tuesday, at about 6 a.m., an embankment which was under construction collapsed and killed a 20-year-old boy by name Banky Leslie, a student of Gulffield University Institute who recently gained admission into the University of Boya for the current academic year. He was on site with his elder sister, Manka Marichi, to assist the builder who had not yet come to the construction site by the time of the incident. Eyewitnesses attribute the accident to poor construction of the embankment wall as runoff could no longer meander its way to the gutters. Manka Mari is currently at the Limbe Regional Hospital responding to treatment. Despite responding to medical treatment, it took the intervention of the director of the regional hospital for the nurses to attend to her as she was abandoned several hours after transferred to the accident ward.
Since 6 o'clock, we don't bring them 2 years, so we don't go to come back with the other one. We see there. They don't care, we see the need for go scan, we don't go X-ray, we don't go to go come back. Since 6 o'clock, I reach the moment where I stand up on the front, they talk, so no person know they will take care for you. The medicine they will run by the car and instead put inside your cupboard. They go up, calm down, person know they. So now we don't be vexed and say, okay, we want to carry the patient, going for Mutengene, for bingo.
The divisional officer for Limbe 1 subdivision, Gilbert Quenti, accompanied by the mayor of Limbe 1, Mwaye Eposi Florence, were on the scene to evaluate the level of damages caused by the incident. He also took time to condole with the deceased family while cautioning those constructing on risk zones that they are doing so at their detriment.
Yes, we are currently at the CB Center, that is the headquarters in Mabanda in Kumba 3 subdivision, where some of those who are kidnapped by the separatists in Libya-Lem have just arrived here in Mabanda Kumba 3 subdivision.
From captivity to freedom, these people were rescued and received at the headquarters of the CB sector in Mabanda Kumba 3 subdivision after passing through torture as they were kidnapped in Tali, Manu division and taken to Bisali in Wabane, Libya-Lem division.
They knock your door, take you, even if then I would pant, tie you, sellotape your mouth, put you after giving you about 8 slaps with the cutlass on your back, maybe like me, you see here, the iron gun.
As if that was not enough, they were marked by separatist fighters as an identity if they will stay alive after fulfilling the ransom demanded by the fighters.
You call their boys and they bring very big buttons. Any of you sleep for down, they give you 50 strokes. You look at my leg even, it still swell up to now. Look at my leg, even the one foot.
In Bisali, Wabane, as they live at the camp of General Daiman for 6 days. On Tuesday, 13 October, was to be their last day if the ransom was not paid.
2 days ago, he came and tell me, say, yesterday, since 2 days ago, that last day, he come from morning time for can kill me. Thank God, military entered that very night. Oh, no.
But as prayerful as they were, the military marched into the General Daiman's camp, where Major General Ayeke and other top Amba generals were taking refuge. The whole area was animated by intense gun battle, which later on ended with Ayeke, who bowed down to the Cameroon elite force, the B.
We don't wake up with prayer. Almost 6 o'clock, we hear how we got the rain. Since Ayeke day, almost 18 meters from the place where we be there. We hear the call that say they shoot them just for inside even with that classrooms. As we hear they gun them, the military they approach, we hear they gun them. So I say more we shout. So I made the military know say we don't be this the Amba soldiers. So we start shouting, oh c'est cool, venez nous sauver, oh c'est cool, venez nous sauver.
20 of them were rescued. Some were taken to the West region for treatment. Meanwhile, 12 are in Kumba receiving treatment at the headquarters of the CB sector in Mabanda. On this day, some items recovered from late General Ayeke were presented to the press in Kumba, Meme division.
Forte Kunepo Ferdinand is a man who left the population of Mbuda in total shock and consternation as he sets his entire family and house ablaze. Why a man in his right frame of mind will commit such a gruesome and barbaric act upon his own family, including an innocent baby as young as 10 months, is still a puzzle. Kunepo Ferdinand is a father of 6 children, with ages ranging from 10 months to the oldest child aged 17. He is a pork vendor, and sources say, according to Ferdinand, he committed the barbaric acts justifying that his wife and children do not give him the respect he deserves as a father. But other sources contradicted this, saying he is naturally a violent man, especially when he drinks himself to stupor. He repeatedly exhibits this high sense of irresponsibility and baseless violence. According to his wife, who was badly hurt, together with their 4 children, she reiterates that her husband is a chronic alcoholic who always gets this mean. She recounts a sad incident which led to her husband setting her and her 4 children ablaze.
The third time now, he took it and run with force and just come and throw it. Whether it is petrol, it is what that he kept that he used to kill us, I don't know. Just run and come and aim the firewood inside their room, and the fire just touched the whole house. I was sitting but outside with this my baby. The fire come and met us outside. Before I wanted to escape, the fire has already touched us. Those 2 inside touched him seriously. The other one was inside the house. Before he struggled to come out, he also burned him. The junior ones were inside the parlor learning. They struggled now to come out. As they struggled to come out, the fire also touched them. But their own case is not serious, because before they were coming out like that, the fire, the speed has already reduced.
Fortunately for her, 2 of her other children were not caught in this inferno because they were playing outside. The other 4 were inside their rooms, and that's where their father poured fuel and set them on fire. Both the mother and the children were badly hurt, but fortunately no one died in the barbaric incident. Meanwhile, the entire family is receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of the Atluchem Hospital in Buda.
J'ai reçu une mère de 4 enfants qui est venue dans un contexte d'incendie et de brûlure. Donc, on a reçu au total 5 brûlés. Parmi les 5 brûlés, il y a un enfant de 17 ans qui a un pronostic un peu réservé. Donc, les 4 autres ont un pronostic favorable.
Kunepo Ferdinand, who always promised to kill his family, has been apprehended by the law enforcement officers and is under custody, gnashing his teeth.
Nijon Frundi returned in the early hours of Sunday, November 1, 2020, after spending 10 months in the United States of America. A cream of dignitaries stemming from top party officials, militants and sympathizers, religious leaders, ministers, members of parliament all turned out at the chairman's Soir residence in Yaoundé to give him a warm welcome back home, as well as take part in the ecumenical service organized by the SDF party to pay homage to Barrister Sama Francis, Honorable Mbandam, and a series of tragic incidents which happened in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon while the chairman was away.
Now that all the people across the board have come for us to cry them, let this love transcend across all the facets of things that we are doing in Cameroon. Because until we love each other, until we are honest to each other to tell the truth, we cannot change this country.
The honest truth is that we are here on the auspices of the ecumenical service, which the chairman has organized for the passing away of some of his very close collaborators of the SDF. And I was opportune to be invited. I have been able to discuss with the chairman personally, and we discussed some few things about the country and about the crisis which is going on in the Anglophone region.
Speaking during the twin ceremony, Frundi blamed some of the tragic incidents on the young people for what he termed quest for fast money.
None of them came to me, but I told them that they should come together and choose a leadership. Because, go to Bamenda, there are different camps. Abroad, there are different camps. When I had Zoom conferences with them, I was able to count at least 18 different camps. How do you, if you cannot agree, how would the children on the field agree? No. So that all grabbing people now is money. And that's why you, the younger generation, I blame you. Because everybody's, I need money now. And I want it now. Let us work for our country. And the monies will come. God bless you all.
The first Vice National Chairman, Honorable O.C. Joshua, speaking to the press shortly after the ceremony, said though the National Chairman was away, the party was still functioning normally.
We are grateful to have him back with us. It has been a difficult time for both the chairman and the party. And as you know, the party constitution is such that the vice presidents of the party execute duties assigned to them by the national chairman. So the party was functioning all okay. Maybe it wasn't functioning as some people would have wished it to function, but I think there is nothing you can say that the party was supposed to do that it didn't do. And the national chairman is back. He's back in town, meaning that over the coming weeks we'll be sitting together to try to work out on our activities for 2021.
The AZA party plans to organize a press conference in the days ahead to address some of the burning issues affecting the life of the nation.
Recently in Balengang, a young man was apprehended by security officers for digging up his late father's grave to get his bones. Papa Longchi Emmanuel, who died in 2014, could not rest in peace in his final resting place in Balengang in the West region. Longsti Pauline, son of the deceased, who after a long stay in Congo-Brazzaville returned home and decided to desecrate his late father's tomb. According to this gendarme officer, Longsti's elder sister alerted law enforcement officers when she found out his act.
Dans la journée du samedi 5 décembre 2020, autour de 11h45, étant au bureau, la grande sœur aînée du suspect est venue saisir pour nous faire état de ce que elle a surpris son petit frère en train de casser la tombe de leur papa décédé il y a fort longtemps.
Talking to the young Longsti Pauline, he took the law enforcement authorities and other members of the locality to show the bones he had dug up from his late father's skeleton. He equally added, after having been apprehended, that he suffers from dementia, which provokes him to carry out such acts.
Je suis entré à l'intérieur, j'ai essayé de ramasser. Parce que ce que ça m'a dit, j'ai ramassé, j'ai entassé pour que toute la famille et tout le monde voit. Après, j'ai essayé de tracer le champ, j'ai essayé de marcher. Quand je dis marche, tracer le champ, c'est marcher.
Quand tu as ramassé, tu es allé où?
Je suis redescendu. Quand je suis redescendu, je suis passé par là derrière. Je ne suis même pas monté sur la maison. Je suis redescendu. J'ai essayé de... Parce que ça là, ça me dit vraiment.
The company commander of Mbuda, Peter Alobwede, has used this opportunity to sensitize the population of Bambutus and Balengang in particular, calling on more vigilance and collaboration with authorities of the law.
The population has to be vigilant and the gendarmerie equally has to be very, very vigilant. We count on the collaboration between the local population and the gendarmerie so that people can carry out their normal activities in this area without any problem.
Longsti Pauline is currently under custody at the Balengang Gendarmerie and will be brought to book in the coming days.
Bilan de mort très lourd. Plus d'une trentaine de personnes auraient perdu la vie dans la nuit de samedi 26 au dimanche 27 décembre 2020 en partance de la région de l'Ouest Cameroun pour la capitale politique Yaoundé à bord d'un bus d'Avenir Voyage. Ce sont entre autres des hommes, des femmes et des enfants, probablement de retour du week-end de Noël. Plusieurs blessés graves conduits dans les hôpitaux de district de Bafia et de Koutaba, tandis que les corps sont actuellement à l'hôpital central de Yaoundé pour identification par les membres de la famille.
Nous venons d'enregistrer un accident regrettable sur la route nationale numéro 4, précisément dans l'arrondissement de Tikiminiki, où une bus d'Avenir Voyage s'est dérapé et se trouve au fin fond du pont où nous nous retrouvons maintenant. Dans cet accident, nous avons déploré 37 décès et 18 blessés graves. Ces blessés ont immédiatement été transportés dans les centres de santé de Makenene et Ntikiminiki pour la prise en charge. Mais nous demandons à nos usagers de cette route qui est en réhabilitation d'être prudents sur cette route.
Cet effroyable accident, survenu précisément au lieu dit Nomalé, s'il y a 7 km de Dikiminiki, aurait été causé alors que le conducteur de gros porteurs en vitesse aurait évité une collision frontale avec un camion. Une situation tellement alarmante qu'elle n'a pas pu laisser indifférent le ministre des Transports, le ministre de l'administration territoriale et d'autres membres du gouvernement qui se sont rendus promptement sur le lieu du drame. La nationale numéro 4 aura été un lieu de tristesse pour plusieurs familles en cette période de fin d'année 2020.